Wouldn't it be awesome if you could go from where you are now to being able to write full, professional, catchy dance music every single time, but in an effortless way where you don't have to spend hours learning music theory, learning how to play an instrument, or spending thousands and thousands of pounds to an online music school to teach you how to do it? Well, in this video, I want to show you the first steps you can take to start implementing my unique beat hacking skills. These are skills that will allow you to take your favorite song in no matter what subgenre of EDM we're talking, from trance to deep house to drum and bass. It'll teach you how to take your favorite song and begin to dissect it, working out what it is that actually makes that track a hit, picking out the elements. Once you've got a really good idea of these elements and you begin to look at music in a completely different way, you can then start to rebuild your own dance tracks in an almost paint-by-numbers style. This is a completely new technique that has never been taught before and will teach you how to create full, professional, catchy sounding dance tracks by modeling your favorite artists out there. But before we get into it, I just wanted to say hi, my name is Phil Harris, and in my last video I explained why the traditional ways of making electronic dance music are dead, and I introduced you into this unique beat hacking method that I have developed myself. This is a method that allows you to stand on the shoulders of giants. You will be able to take your favorite music out there and completely pick it apart and use it to start recreating your own electronic dance music career. So if you haven't already seen that video, I suggest you go and check it out straight away after this one. But now I just want to get straight into it and show you the first couple of steps you can take. Now I've got a presentation to show you guys here, so I suggest you get pen and paper so you can make notes as we go through. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So guys, I want to teach you how to get results using beat hacking. Now the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what kind of artist do you actually want to be? Now the answer to this is going to come down to the subgenre that inspires you the most. So if you were to go and listen to the tracks that you absolutely love listening to, what subgenre do they come under? There's over 40 different EDM subgenres out there, from big room house to techno to electro, bass house. The list goes on, and you want to decide which one of these is the one that you like to be an artist under, a DJ that DJs this type of music. That really is the secret of making it, is picking one thing, for example, bass house, if that's the kind of music you love, and going, this is the kind of music I'm going to make. Because the worst thing you could do is go ahead and do all different types of music and just get completely cluttered trying to work out what makes techno so good, what makes trance so good. Now I'm going to try some Melbourne bounce. And really, the thing that actually inspired you and got you into music in the first place was bass house. You see, the issue is, over 50% of people who take up music production quit within the first year. And the reason for this is, if you try and learn too much, it might actually put you off altogether. And you don't want that to happen, which is why it's really important that you just hone in on that one subgenre that you absolutely love. So guys, let's just get straight into it. What is beat hacking? Beat hacking is a step-by-step process that will allow you to pick apart what makes your favorite music great, so you can model it to make your own tracks. It literally is as simple as that. Now don't worry if this all seems really complicated and really daunting. You just have to remember that when it comes to making music, there's only 5 or 6 things you need to ever think about: drums, melodies, bass lines, chords, vocals, and effects. And when you think about your favorite subgenre of music, all that DJ has done is taken these different elements and structured them in a way that's made it amazing for you to listen to, addictive, catchy. It will be using these different elements here. And all you have to do is be able to look into each of these different elements and work out what it is that they've done with these elements that's made it so awesome. So once you have done that, I want you to understand something else. You won't just be making music. You're going to be building up a psychological blueprint. You've got to think of it like this. Music that people like is not a choice. People can't choose to like one type of music. I don't personally like opera. I can't choose to suddenly start liking it. However, there's certain types of music that I absolutely love. I'm even embarrassed to admit that some of the music I love, but I can't help but find it catchy. That's what it's all about. When you look at these guys, the hit makers out there, there's a reason why they manage to make hits time and time again. It's not because they're just sitting there playing around, coming up with random ideas. They're following a blueprint that will allow them to completely resonate with the audience, that people that listen to them. Think about people like Ed Sheeran or Justin Bieber. They have worked out a series of things that they can put into their songs that will make every single one of their tracks a hit. And people cannot help but love the songs that these people are putting out. That's what makes them hit makers. And the best thing is, once you've managed to listen to these songs and worked out exactly what it is that makes them hits, you can begin to build your own blueprint. Now, once you've got your own blueprint that you can follow time and time again, you'll be able to create hits every single time. You'll be able to build a fan base. You'll be able to win competitions, get your music noticed, and potentially make a living out of doing this. And it really comes down to just 3 things, 3 simple steps. Structuring a track, elements within the track, and analyzing those elements within a track. It really is as simple as this. By the way, the other thing is, if you miss any of these, you will fall short. This is what you have to be learning in this order. So this applies to all different types of music out there, particularly with dance music and any subgenre you like. Now, the type of subgenre of music that I absolutely love, that drives me mad and makes me want to just jump up and down and go crazy, is big room house. So for the remainder of this presentation, I'm going to be using a track from the big room house genre. And the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is structure. So the big room house track that I'm going to be analysing is Tremor by Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike and Martin Garrix. And the best thing about me using this song is actually, when it comes to the structure of this song, it's using a similar structure to many other tracks out there, from electro house to deep house to bass house. They all have a very similar structure. So here is the structure of a track. Now, any of you guys who are DJs or made music in the past will be very familiar with a waveform that looks a little bit like this. Now, when it comes to actually structuring a track, all you really need to remember is these elements here. These are the elements, or these are the structure of most dance tracks out there. So it goes intro, breakdown, build, drop, and then it kind of repeats. Another breakdown, another build, another drop, and then it goes into the outro. The reason why I categorize the intro and the outro together at the beginning is lots of these different sections tend to mimic each other. And more often than not, the intro and the outro of the song is usually identical. So let's start to break this down. As you can see, I've marked this in green, the intro and the outro. Both are 16 bars and both are very, very similar. Then we move on to the drop. Again, both drops are 16 bars, the first drop and the second drop. Now, what you'll notice is the color coding is exactly the same because these parts of the song are usually identical. Then you've got the build, and then you've got the breakdown. As you can see, the beginning breakdown and first build are both 16 bars, and the second breakdown and second build are both 32 bars. So this is already beginning to tell us something about our favorite tracks out there. We can now look at this and fully understand the structure that has gone into making this awesome. And the really cool thing about this is, if you just take away that track, you're left with the perfect structure for how you could build your first or your next amazing big room house track. You've essentially done your very first beat hack there, because you've taken their structure and we now have something that we could go in and fill back in using our own track. So step number 2, elements from within the track. Now, I don't want this video to go on forever, so I'm actually just going to do this with the drop. So if we take the drop, what we know is that there's a kick drum running throughout it. There's claps on every other kick drum, so it's going boom, clap, boom, clap the whole way through the drop. There's a top melody on top of it. We all know the top melody. Da, 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 da. That's the melody, right? And then there's also other effects like white noise and stuff like that, other little effects that are thrown in there. Now, what I want to teach you how to do is to be able to listen to all these different sections of the track and pick out all the different elements from within each section of the track. This is something you could do in your spare time. Now, when you're finished, it'll look a little something like this. You'll know exactly what elements are put into each section. From the drop, you'll know on the build there's some rises in there. You know, on the breakdown there's a melody and a heavy bass line. And the best thing about this, guys, is once you have this structure, then you can go about recreating your own track using these elements. This is the best thing about beat hacking, guys, is it almost takes that frustrating guesswork out of it. You have now beginning to build up your own blueprint, and I'm hoping this is beginning to get a bit clearer from looking at this presentation here. So step number 3 is analyze. This is where you're going to be able to train your ears into being able to work out what it is about these elements that makes them a hit, and exactly what you can do to recreate these elements that your favorite artists have put into their track, how you can recreate them in your own track. This is really comes down to following some simple steps that will allow you to train your ears to be able to hear these things and recreate them for yourself. So you can begin by asking yourself questions like, when are these elements happening? Which we've kind of already done. We just did it in the last exercise. You know, the elements were being played in the build, the drop, the breakdown. We already know kind of when these elements are happening, but you can kind of go into much more detail within each of these sections to work out, you know, when does the hi-hat come in? When does the riser begin to come in? So that's step number 1. Next step is, how often are the elements repeating and looping? Guys, remember when we look into elements, you'll see I've color coded this in a way that you can see there's certain things that are repeating and things that are similar throughout the whole track. So that's the next step you can ask. The next thing you want to ask yourself is, what key is their song in? This will give us a really cool indication about what notes that they are using in their track. And guys, don't worry too much if you're like, well, I've got no idea how to work out what the key is. You can just go and Google it. You can go on websites like Beatport, where you will literally be able to see exactly what key the track is written in, and that'll give you an awesome indication of what notes they're using in their song. The next thing you want to ask is, how many notes are they using in their song? You'll probably be surprised to know that in most of the most famous dance tracks out there, there's probably only 4 or 5 notes being used in most melodies. Think of that song by Steve Aoki, Boneless, that goes dun 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 dun. That song's probably made Steve Aoki over $10 million. Yet it's literally essentially 4 notes that are just being played, 4 or 5 notes. Now, if that's one of your favorite tracks, you now know that if you wanted to go and recreate a similar track to that, you just need to use 4 or 5 notes in your drop or your main melody. And then finally, the thing you have to be thinking about is, how loud are each of these elements, so we can make sure that we're matching our sound to fit in with theirs perfectly. This is kind of what the analysing phase is all about. It's asking one question: what is different about the professional track and mine? You see, if you think about it like this is you over on the left hand side here with the help sign. Bit clueless, don't quite know how to make your track as perfect as it could possibly be. You're desperate to learn more information that would help your track stand out. And then over on the right, this is kind of where you want to be. Happy person, your track's perfect, everything's going good. And then in between, you'll see there's this line here. Well, what we're talking about in the analysing phase is this line. You know where you are, and you know that you're kind of currently disappointed with the track. And you know that this track over here, the one we've been analysing, sounds awesome. It's got everything you want your track to have. And analysing is the process of working out what it is about this track that our tracks don't have, and closing that gap. And like I said before, building up this blueprint of things that you'll be able to reapply in all future songs. Closing that gap. Before long, you are the person on the right hand side, the happy person, not the person on the left. And in doing so, you've closed that gap and created your own psychological blueprint for what would make your music absolutely insane. And guys, I want to finish this little presentation here by saying everything we've discussed here is literally the tip of the iceberg. I've kind of just given you a complete overview here, but given you some tips that I think would actually be really useful for some of you guys out there. And I also want to finish by saying that if any of the things I've discussed in this presentation just seem really overwhelming and complicated, don't worry. Every single step can be broken down into a simple and easy to follow formula that will allow you to do this without even thinking. It's an effortless process. So there you go, guys. Really hope you liked that presentation. And I do want to stress to you guys that this is just scratching the surface. Imagine if you guys knew all this stuff like the back of your hand, and you knew how to apply all of it to a point where you were making hits time and time again. How incredible that would be. That's what brings me on to the magic of my EDM Coaching 2.0 program. In my EDM Coaching 2.0 program, you're going to learn everything you need to know to be able to go out there and create hits time and time again. Not only are you going to learn all the basics of the music production software, you're going to learn everything you need to know to create amazing hits and how to make incredible music every single time. You're going to perfect the art of beat hacking, and once you've picked this stuff up, you'll never need to pay for another music school again in your life. And then I'm also going to be teaching you everything you need to know about mixing and mastering. It's a full comprehensive course that's taught in an entirely new and unique way, so it's really awesome. Now, just so you know, EDM Coaching 2.0 is going to be released on the 3rd of August. But, and there is a but, unfortunately, I can only take on a limited number of students because I find the community works so much better when I can work closely with people on a more individual basis and kind of coach them through the whole process. This is why I'm only letting in a certain number of people. So once the doors open for people to sign up for EDM Coaching 2.0, it will be open until the seats are filled and then it will close again. So it's a really rare opportunity. However, if you want to make sure that you are definitely going to increase your chances of getting into EDM Coaching 2.0, then directly below this video is an early bird waiting list. Now, the beauty of this early bird waiting list is you will have early access to the course. So while everyone else is waiting for the 3rd of August to come along, you will get an email allowing you to go and sign up to the course before everyone else, which will practically guarantee you a seat on the course. So if you are interested, hit that button below and go and sign up for that early bird waiting list now. Now guys, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to be jumping into what we've discussed in this video in a lot more detail. And I'm going to be sharing with you a big secret that took me years to figure out myself. And once you understand this big secret, it's going to completely blow your mind. So make sure you tune in tomorrow to check out that video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this video, hit that bell notification so you get told about the video when it's released tomorrow. And finally, why not go and subscribe to that early bird mailing list right now? I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Ciao!